In the early morning hours of June 2025, the shadow war in the Middle East finally exploded into the light. The world had watched the escalating threats between Iran and Israel, dismissing most of it as posturing. Then came Operation Rising Lion. In a stunningly precise wave of airstrikes, Israeli jets targeted the heart of Iran's nuclear and military infrastructure. The attack was devastating. High-ranking Iranian generals were reportedly eliminated not on the battlefield, but as they slept in their beds. This was not just another skirmish. This was a strategic decapitation. For years, the question hanging over the region has been, after Syria, is Iran next? As of today, July 17, 2025, it looks like we have our answer. To understand how we got here and what happens next, we need to look at how the Iranian regime, once a regional kingmaker, found itself so dangerously vulnerable. The story begins with two clocks, both ticking towards midnight. The first clock was Iran's sprint towards a nuclear bomb. While the program started decades ago with Western help under the Shah, the Islamic Republic's pursuit of the bomb in secret has been a global flashpoint. In early 2025, as negotiations stalled and Iran's nuclear ambitions accelerated, that clock was about to strike 12. The second clock was the slow-motion collapse of Iran's regional empire. For years, Iran projected power through a network of proxies known as the Shi'a Crescent. But that crescent is now crumbling. In Lebanon, devastating Israeli counterstrikes have crippled Hezbollah, shattering its aura of invincibility. But the most critical blow came from Syria. The fall of the Assad regime severed Iran's vital land corridor to the Mediterranean, the strategic highway used to arm Hezbollah. That loss, combined with crushing economic sanctions, has left Tehran's proxies frayed and disconnected. Iran can no longer afford to be the patron it once was. The empire is broke. And as things get worse on the outside, the rot on the inside is accelerating. Iran is a powder keg. The regime is an aging, repressive theocracy, presiding over a population of 90 million where 60% are under the age of 30. These young people are educated, connected to the world, and have no memory of the 1979 revolution. They see only a future stolen by crushing inflation, rampant unemployment, and a regime that brutally suppresses basic freedoms, particularly women's rights. The recent anti-regime protests have shaken the government to its core. A massive brain drain is underway, as anyone who can get out does. This internal weakness is compounded by ethnic fault lines. Many forget that Iran is not a homogeneous nation. It's a multi-ethnic empire, and Persians make up only a little over half the population. Huge Azeri and Kurdish populations, along with Balochs, Arabs, and others, feel marginalized by the Persian-dominated regime. Separatist movements, especially in the Kurdish regions, are a constant source of instability. So, from Washington's perspective, what are the stakes? The U.S. has three unshakable priorities in the Middle East: Israel's security, the free flow of oil, and ensuring no other power can challenge American dominance in the region. Iran is a direct threat to all three. Most critically, Iran holds a knife to the world's economic artery, the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20% of the entire world's petroleum supply passes through this narrow choke point. If Iran were to close it, which it could do very quickly, global oil supplies would plummet and prices would skyrocket. For the average American, that means chaos at the gas pump. For the global economy, it means a potential recession. For Russia, a major oil producer, it would be a massive windfall. For China, the world's largest oil importer, it would be a catastrophe. This is why the U.S. Navy permanently patrols the region. The stunning success of Operation Rising Lion revealed just how hollowed out the Iranian regime has become. It wasn't just an airstrike. Mossad has managed to run operations so deep inside the country that they can strike anyone, anywhere. Reports even suggest they operated a secret drone base on Iranian soil, using intelligence gathered from agents within Iran's own services. The regime that presents itself as a regional superpower can't even protect its own generals in their bedrooms. This brings us to the nightmare scenario. What happens if Iran breaks apart? While some might see the collapse of the regime as a victory, the reality could be a catastrophe far worse than the status quo. A power vacuum in a country of 90 million would not be filled by peaceful democracy overnight. It would be a vortex of chaos. A humanitarian disaster could send millions of refugees toward Europe and key NATO allies like Turkey, a country already struggling with millions of migrants. This could destabilize the entire southern flank of NATO. Furthermore, ethnic groups like the Kurds could seize the opportunity to push for independence, igniting a wider conflict that could spill across Iraq and Syria. And the most terrifying question of all, in a collapsed state, who gets their hands on the nuclear material? The United States and its allies are navigating between two disastrous outcomes. A nuclear Iran is unacceptable, but a collapsed Iran could be a black hole of instability that consumes the entire Middle East. So what's the right move here? Is a hardline stance against Iran the only answer, or are the risks of total collapse simply too great? If you liked this video and want to see more analyses like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.